The next stage of this modified panel project is I just have this temporarily on here, and then we're going to go back to the beginning with the original idea, and I'll refer you to these holes here and I'll show you what the next step is. So back to the beginning with our original jig here. This is supposed to represent the outside panel, and that's whether you want to use the factory panels or if you wanted to build your own custom panel. And then in behind, I wanted to have a removable panel so that you could access everything in the door. So the original idea is that this had to be flush. These two pieces here. So then we have these kind of like countersunk buttons, and then that would fasten to the door skin right here. So now that we've got our removable panel and we've kind of built our frame in there, now is to kind of install these buttons. In building this recessed button, we got a piece of 3/4 round stock here, and then we just slice off a piece of that and we machine it with this recessed hole in there. And the recessed hole is for our Allen head cap screw to fit in there, so that in the end you've got it sitting flush or with a little bit of clearance there on the end. So this is the one half of the assembly. Now this has to bolt into something like we had on our jig over here. It has to bolt onto the door skin. So I'm just dealing with basically materials that I have available, but there is a couple options here. You could build something similar to this here, where you just get a piece of flat stock and you just simply bend it to fit, and then tack weld that. You'd say tack weld that onto the plate, and then it would thread into there. In my case, I've got this square stock here, and that 3/4 inch just fits right in there. So I figured, well, I'll just use some square stock because I have it. So what I did was I just got a piece of metal here and I cut it down to about 1 inch. Then I drilled a set of holes. Then I put my nuts on there and I just tack weld those nuts. After I've done that, then I cut one of those off of there, and then off the square stock here, I cut a chunk of that off, and I true up the ends. I want to make sure those ends are trued up so they're nice and flat. So when I tack weld this on, it's gonna be true. It's not gonna be on an angle, and because this shaft has to go in there true. So I set that on there, and then I tack that on, and then I'm left with this kind of recessed pocket to accept our button. And then once I've done that, then I have to kind of work it down to the right height. The finished assembly here is with our pocket and our button and our cap screw. Cap screw will thread into our welded nut that we've tacked on the back of this plate that we tacked onto the square stock. This is all good. Now we have to, for the finished assembly, we have to make this work on our frame. Now you can see the purpose of these holes here. So basically, when we were building this, we wanted everything lined up, and we want to line up all of our holes here. And then the button will be press fit into the hole, tack welded on our plate here, and then we'll go and we'll basically drill these holes out a little larger so that the plate will fit flush against there. And then our receiver will be tack welded on the back of the frame, and that's what's gonna hold it in place. Back to the other half of the panel here, we've tacked on some of our buttons, and this represents the frame that it's going to rest up against with our hole that we've drilled in there. So we've got the thickness of these two plates here, and then that's where we're going to adjust the depth of that pocket, because when this gets welded on there as such, then this will get tacked onto here, and then those buttons will just fit into the pockets, and then you put your fasteners in, and that's what holds it all together. Got these little pockets all welded on here, just on the one panel. This other panel I haven't made all the little jigs to finish the rest, but we'll put it in. We'll see how easily that fits together and comes off. I want to put the window regulator on here and see how easy it is to get out of this track when it's assembled and you're trying to take this plate off. So far so good. We've got this panel's pretty much close to being completed. Had to remove this fastener here because it was interfering with the window actuator. Installing that, it wouldn't install without this was in the way, so I had to remove that, which is fine. After the fact, I was thinking we only really need 2 fasteners on each side here, and even those up, so it'll be two on every side, 2 here, 2 up there, 2 down at the bottom, and then we'll put another 2 there. We got the handle in here. It seems to be working just fine, and this panel actually, there's lots of play in that arm for the actuator to get that started into the track here. And once you get that started into the track, then you can just manipulate this panel where you need it, and then just press it on. So that actually worked out pretty good. And then cranking up the window and down. So all the way this way, that little arm here is right on the end of this channel, and then as you operate the window all the way up, you'll see this is where right at the bottom here, and obviously it wouldn't go up that high once the window's installed. So so far so good. All that's looking pretty good right now. I think we might be able to get away with just the 2 panel design, and once I finish this one here, so that it's removable the same as the other one. Everything's looking good so far.